Now we're going to be looking at some more Boolean functions. So for this, let's go to our cylinder, go inside the viewport and hit the G to get rid of the grid. And let's hit the F4 and let's go to our clay mode. Now let's give this some more edges. Go to our modify, bring it to 30 by 30, and actually on the sides, not on the cap segment. So restart with the right click and let's give it some more height. We can leave this at around 200 centimeters. Now what I want to do is just to duplicate this cylinder like so, just as a copy, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. So make sure that your angle toggle is turned on. Now what we are going to be working in, it's a faucet. But I'm going to try and subtract the cylinder with this one over here. So let's actually scale it down because it's too big. And let's move it a little bit over here. So what we need to be careful now is with the intersection of the edges. So let's try and match these edges here with these other ones from this main cylinder. So let's go and reduce its size. So it doesn't have to be perfect, so don't worry about it, because that's the idea of this exercise. Now, more or less, it can be at 20 sides, and as you can see, it's not perfect at all. We're going to be fixing that later. So what I want to do now is just to pick our cylinder and head over to our compound objects, and let's select the Boolean option. Add the cylinder, which we can do this by add operands. Now let's click it like so. And we don't want to unify it, we want to subtract it. So let's hit the subtract option, and there we go. Now I'm going to just edit poly, this one. So let's go to our modifiers and look for the edit poly option. And by hitting the 4 key, I'll be deleting all of the faces on the border here. Like so. Remember to be pressing your control key and holding it so that you can grab all of the faces. Now if you accidentally just do this and deselect all of them, you just have to Control Z. So that's a good thing about 3ds Max, which other softwares don't have. Delete all of these faces. And now something that we must be careful with is the intersection from all of these vertices here. You can see that I'm working with meshes, obviously, and all of them have 4 vertices. But for instance, if I go over here, you can see that this mesh, or this polygon here rather, has only 3 vertices. So we have to fix that. So for example, if I want to keep editing this mesh, let's say that I want to just extrude this border here by clicking my 3 key and then extruding it with my gizmo like so. And now let's say that I want to apply a turbo smooth to this. Keeping in mind the additional edges that are here that are not matching with anything. So if I activate my vertices like this, you can see that this vertex, it's not connecting to any other edge or any other vertex actually. So that's a problem. We don't have a continuity of the mesh here. So it's going to be a mess. Now let's try, by leaving it like so, let's try a turbo smooth modifier. Hit the F4 and you can see that I have so many errors here. And that's one thing that we have to fix. Delete this turbo smooth, and actually let's just Control Z everything until we end up with this. Now to fix this, we have to make all of the polygons match all of the vertices and leave them with 4 vertices, because that's what we are working with now. So for that, I'll be using the edit vertices once we check on the vertex here in Edit Poly. Here in Edit Vertices, I have the target weld, which we haven't seen yet. So the way it works is that it will be targeting specific vertices. So let's just select this. And let's say that I want to weld this one with this one. I can just select, and you can see that I have a dashed line going on in here. And it's waiting for me to grab another vertice, which is going to be this one. So that way I can clean up the mesh and just delete the remaining or the vertices that don't have any connection with anything. So I'll just do this, and I'll make sure that we end up with 4 vertices. Don't forget about that. This one is by itself. So let's just drag it up here to the top. And now we have to be careful with this. Look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices in this specific polygon. So that's way too much, and it's going to cause a destruction of our mesh. So first of all, connect the vertices that we don't need. So basically, I wouldn't be needing this one or this one. Now I can just collapse these two, like so. And remember to leave 4 vertices. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 within this specific polygon. Now if we go over here, I can just connect this one with this one. So I'm just cleaning up my mesh. Now if you choose one that you don't want to connect with anything and just by mistake, head over to target world and select it again, like this. Now this is just a bug. It's going to disappear if you just start to target world again. Okay, so let's connect this one with this one. Now this has one too many. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So I can either just go this way or this way, up to you. So this way it's a little bit closer. This one I really don't want it, so I'm just going to leave it like this. And obviously we're going to fix in that one too. And I'm going to be joining these two together because it has 5 sides right now. So I'll be joining this one with this one. I'm going to leave this one out because we need 4 vertices. Now this one with this one, and you can see that this vertex just sitting there by itself. So I'm just going to go over up here and connect it with the top one. I won't be needing this one too. So I'm just going to connect it with the closest one. This one with the top one. This one with the bottom one. And this one is just sitting there empty, so I'm going to connect it with the one at the top. So here we have 3 vertices. We can just connect them with each other with this one, and now I can just obviously just collapse this one over here with this one. Just find the closest vertex, and if you have 3, collapse them with the closest vertex. All right, we are almost done here. Okay, let's just collapse this one with this one. And actually, we don't need to do that because we already have 4 vertices here. What we do need is just to clean this one up. Right over here. And now this one with this one. And last but not least, this one over here. Actually, let's just do the other way around so that we don't lose this horizontal edge. And we have to delete this one because it's triangulated. And what happened here? Okay, just a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's just collapse this one with this one over here. There we go. So once we have that mesh done, let's see our results by selecting the border again and dragging this over here. And actually we have a small mistake, and the reason that that's happening is because these are probably not welded together. So let's just select all of them and weld them. Now you can increase the weld just by a tiny bit. Actually not that much, because you can see if I start to increase this, it's going to start welding these vertices over here. So let's actually just keep this at 0.1 like so and check. Okay, let's try that again. And this is still happening for some reason. So let's get in here, go into our F3 mode and weld these guys again. There we go. So I had to get up close and personal with that one. Sometimes it happens. Alright, you can see that my mesh is way cleaner now. All of these edges don't have anything in between them, and this one it's a bit too straight. So I can just hit my vertex mode and just drag it out like so, just to follow the geometry there. It's not necessary because we're going to be applying a turbo smooth anyway. What we want to do now is just to have this straight. So I'm going to pick my vertex option, select all of them, and one quick way to align all of these vertices is to hit my R key and just squash them in the axis in which I want to align them. In this case it's my Y axis, and what I'm going to do is to drag them out like so and keep on doing this, sliding until all of them are just straight. So that's a nice tip that we have. And now we're going to be applying a turbo smooth to this. And I'm going to apply just 2 more iterations there. And let's see the result now. It's still a bit too messy here. And the reason for that is that we still have to add some more protection loops just here. And it's going to be easy because now our mesh is pretty clean. So let's delete this turbo smooth, hit the X and call in the swift loop. Okay, so you can see how swift loop now works very nice. So let's hit the F4 to see these edges. I'm going to apply one here and another one over here, and also one at the top and bottom like so. Let's try the turbo smooth again, and there we go. Now one nice thing that we can do is by going into our border again. Actually, let's just delete this turbo smooth for now. Now by hitting the R key, we know that we can extrude this like this, and then just drag it out like so. Okay, and now I'm just going to cap this. Alright, so make sure that all of the edges are aligned. You can see that I have a small problem here. At some point, I must have just changed their position from these vertices, so I'm going to select them again and align them with my R key over here too. Okay, so this way we don't have any disturbing shadows. So if I hit the Ctrl Z, you can see how I'm just reflecting some shadows on these polygons. So that's not good. So keep in mind that you have to align these. Now just to add a little bit of extra detail, I can hit my polygon option, and just by selecting some of these faces like this, right click, inset them, and now extrude them. So check, right click and extrude them. Select my swift loop again. I'm going to get some supports here. Make sure that you're just supporting the edges. And now I'm going to bring in the turbo smooth. And once we apply turbo smooth, we can see that we have these shadows here, and we can get rid of them by, let's just delete the turbo smooth again. So F4 to show our lines. What we can do is just to pick the vertices from this point by going to a left view, all of these vertices. And actually, just before that, let's delete this surface and let's grab all of these vertices. If I go to my edit geometry, I can find this option called collapse. So collapse will basically just unify all of these vertex and practically just cap them using some meshes. Now if I go back, and I must add a support loop again here. So X swift loop, let's add the support here and right click. Now if I go to my turbo smooth, and I'm going to apply one more level of iterations here, and F4, you can see that that shading is gone because I'm using more polygons to create this cap basically. Alright, so that's one way of dealing with these Boolean functions once we are working with lots of meshes. So we have to reconstruct the mesh in which we added this Boolean subtraction. That's it for this lecture. I'll see you soon.